Welcome to Control Engineering 3, and I'm happy to have you here. Over the course of the next few videos, we are going to be carrying out different experiments under Control Engineering. But in this video, we are going to be seeing how we can set up our environment, and I will be giving you a quick overview of some of the tools and softwares that's going to be very important for you in this course. There are a lot of softwares that can be used in electrical and electronic engineering, and especially control engineering. Depending on what you need, you can always choose any software at any time. For this experiment, one of the softwares that we are going to be using is called Proteus, and we're going to be seeing how we can set up Proteus on our computer. Proteus is just an electronic design automation for creating schematics and also to run simulations. Also, you can also use Altium Designer. Altium Designer is another software that's majorly used for PCB design and also electronic design. Another very important software that you might use in this experiment is MATLAB. You might have heard of MATLAB. So MATLAB is a multi-paradigm programming language and also numeric computation environment. It can be used in implementation of algorithms. And lastly, we also look at PSCAD. So we can use PSCAD to build, simulate, and also model our systems with ease, especially in power system simulation. So we are not going to be using all of these softwares in this experiment, but you can read more about them. There are other softwares too in control engineering. You can feel free to do some Google searches to learn more about these softwares. But the first software that we are going to be using, and one of the most very important one, is Proteus. And now we are going to be seeing how we can set up Proteus to run on our computer. There's going to be a link in the description, and also it will be available for you on how to download and also install Proteus. Now I'm going to be downloading Proteus and also going to be running the installation. Now we are going to be installing Proteus. Proteus is one of the softwares that we'll be using for this experiment, and the installation file will be made available to you. And I'm also going to give a link in the description of this video where you can download it. So after you've already downloaded it, so I have it downloaded here on my desktop. So double click on the installation file zip file and just click on extract files. So okay, so it's going to extract the installation file to our desktop, and once we are done, we continue the installation. So now we are done with the installation, with the extraction. So after you have already finished extracting it, it's going to create a folder for you on the desktop or wherever you have the zip file. So click on the folder to open it, and then I have the Proteus folder. To simply install Proteus, double click on the application file. So click next. Again over here, click next, and you wait for it. Proteus will then be installed on your computer. And now the setup is complete. So now we can start using Proteus on our computer. So when the setup is finished, just click on finish. One of the reasons we choose Proteus for this experiment is because Proteus is very easy to get started with and very easy to use. The official documentation from Lab Center Electronics, which are the makers of the Proteus, will be made available for you. And also there's going to be a link to download the textbook in the description of this video. So to open Proteus after installing it, just double click on the Proteus icon and the software is going to start up. So here we have the Proteus Design Suite. There are a lot of options we have here. You can see we have File, System, Help. Here you have Getting Started page. Here you can read more about Proteus from here. And then we have Help. You can read more about how to use Proteus over here. So these are the recent projects. If you have been using Proteus, all the recent projects will be displayed here. And these are news about Proteus. So you can open a project, you can create a new project and also create new flowchart and also open different examples that comes with Proteus software. So what we're going to be doing is that I've just introduced Proteus very fast in this tutorial by creating one of the, let's say, the simplest circuits in electronics. So I'll click on new project to create a new project on Proteus. So you'll be required to give your project a name. So I'm going to give the project a name, example 1. So here you can choose the part where you want the project to be saved. I'm going to leave my own inside the document. and make sure this is selected, which is new project, and click on next. So yeah, there are a lot of options here, but you should make sure it's at default. Also click on next. You can click on next, and lastly click on finish. And here is where we are going to be doing all the designs, all the simulation, and all the experiments for control engineering. So there are a lot of options here. As I said, there's going to be a textbook that's going to be made available for you where you can learn more about Proteus. And you can also find the link to download the textbook in the description of this video. So if you check the navigation bar at the top, there's file, there's edit, view, tools, design. You can check about all these options and see how you can use them. So I'm going to be creating a simple circuit to on an LED. So I'm going to be connecting battery to a bulb, and I'm going to pass in it through a resistor to on the bulb. So if you check the left bar, there are a lot of options here. You see the selection mode, there's component mode, there's junction dot mode. So select component mode, which is the one that looks like a triangle. So if you select component mode, click on P. Under this device, click on P. So if you click on P, you have all the components that you can use in this software. So don't forget I said we are going to be building a simple circuit to on an LED. So the first thing you want to do is to pick an LED from this component and drop it in the workspace. So you can just search for LED over here. So if you type LED, you see we have different categories of LED. It can be diode type, electromechanical, inductor. So selecting one category, if you check the results, there are a lot of options that we have. As you are clicking on them, it will be displaying the symbol here. So different things that has LED in them. But what we are looking for is just a simple LED that we can use. So if you check option, you can just check through all these options. You see this another one. I just want a simple bulb, something like this. So after you've already select what you want to use, click on OK, and it will bring you back to the work environment. So left click, and it will drop the component on the environment. So we have select our LED. The next thing we want to select is the resistor. So again, click on P and come here, and we're going to select a 1 kilo ohm resistor. So you can search for 1K. Here I type 1K, and if you check all under the category, we have analog IC, we have capacitor, diode, inductors. So what we are looking for is a 1K resistor. So you can just come here and select a resistor. So do not change everything here to different resistors that has 1K in them. So I'm going to be looking for 1K. So and I have one here. So you can always choose anyone, the one that's going to suit you. So these are potentiometers. So what I need is just a 1K generic resistor. So I'll just select this, which is 1K 10 watt resistor. So again, I'm going to click on OK, and I will drop it here by left clicking. So I have my 1K resistor. And lastly, I want to select battery. So again, click on P, and you can search for battery. As you can see, it's very easy to use Proteus. So when we search for battery, we have these options. You have a battery multi-cell, and we have a DC voltage source. We have a battery single cell. So you can choose maybe DC voltage source, or you can use a battery single cell. So I'll just choose this and click on OK. So with these three, we can connect this together to on this LED. So let me zoom this so that we can see it a little bit better. So let's start connecting this. So our circuit must go from the battery to the resistor and to the LED. So to make this on a straight line, so you can just right click on this LED and click on rotate anti-clockwise. Also, you can rotate it 180 degrees to make it change direction. So I want to connect my resistor to the LED. So click at the end of the resistor and drag it to the LED. So that's simply a connecting wire. You have connected the resistor to the LED. So again, I'm going to be copying this and I put it here. So to connect this also, click at the other end of the resistor and bring it all the way down to the battery. So this is the positive side of the battery. It's connected to the positive side of the LED. And lastly, you can connect the end, which is the ground of this, to the ground of the LED. And I've connected the, let's say, the simplest circuit in electronics. So after connecting this, the next thing is we want to see how this circuit will behave. And this is one of the things we are going to be doing majorly in this experiment. So to simulate it, come straight down to the left hand side and click on this play button. So once you click on the play button, the circuit will start simulating and you're going to see the behavior in real time. So as you can see, our bulb is not coming up. So I deliberately make this happen so that we can, whenever we have a problem, we can always check it. So what we need to do is to make sure all our calculations are correct here. So let's change this battery to a 5 volt battery. Okay. Also the resistor. You can change it to 330 ohm or 470 ohm. So I'll just leave it as 330 and we are going to run the simulation again. So as you can see here, the bulb comes up. So to stop it, you can simply click on pause, and again to run it again, you can click on play, and the simulation will be performed. So that's the simplest circuit that you can do with Pro Tools. You can learn more about Pro Tools from the textbook, and also you can check online on how to use Pro Tools. So make sure that you have a good handle of Pro Tools because you're going to be using Pro Tools majorly throughout this experiment, and sometimes also you'll be using MATLAB. So that's basically it for the software setup. In the next tutorial, which is the next experiment, we are going to be looking at DC motor control using negative feedback.